Next, I'd like Alaska DOT, please.
My name is Steve Sabunjan. I'm the state pavement engineer for Alaska DOT. Belong to headquarters, but physically we're in Anchorage, not in the capital, Juneau. So I belong to the statewide materials section, reporting on state pavement, treatments, challenges, and training. So we're a large state, 1/5 of the United States, but relatively we have a modest number of miles distributed among 3 districts or regions: the Central, with Anchorage in headquartered there, and Fairbanks in the northern region, and Juneau in the south coast. So in terms of distribution, we have about 7,500, 7,600 centerline miles distributed among those 3 regions, both NHS and non-NHS. So in terms of metrics or distresses, our emphasis is, of course, the 3 typical distresses or metrics, starting with rutting. So that's both plastic deformation and studded tire wear, mainly predominant in our urban areas in the central region and the south coast region. Okay, so that's one. Of course, roughness, and as you move towards the northern part of the state or the interior part of the state, roughness is an issue, and the reason is you're placing that pavement on top of an embankment over a permafrost terrain. So things move, and we have this type of roughness, corrugated pavements in the interior of the state. So cracking, of course, that's fatigue, wheel pass cracking, but also block cracking, and of course due to the freeze and thaw action and maybe springtime thaw weakening of the pavement. Okay, so all of that is collected annually, automated Fugro Aaron system. So roughness, cracking, and rutting is acquired, and this is, I think, the first year we formally use Fugro's system to collect that information. So that information goes into our pavement management system. We have Agile Assets software, which is a web-based PMS system, which has also the maintenance and fleet, the state fleet system, management system. We've been working with our partners at AP Tech. They helped us with deterioration modeling, condition indices, decision trees, trigger values. All of that went into the software, and we're currently working with them on life cycle costing, risk management. Those will be going into the TAM plan, which is due next June for the feds. Okay, in terms of treatments, what do we have in our toolbox? The typical thin, overlays, and mill and fill, up to 2 inches. We have 3 types of mixes, basically used depending on traffic and location. The top 2, the 2A and 2B, are Marshall design mixes, 19 millimeter mixes. The A is 75 blows per side, Marshall's B is 50, and we allow up to 15% wrap in the A and 25% wrap in the B mix. The third mix is more of a premium mix used in our urban areas, again to minimize studded tire wear. So that's a Super Pave 75 gyration mix. At that H is for hard aggregates. So we have a policy that stipulates the use of hard aggregate in all projects with 5,000 ADT per lane. Okay, so that's a policy, and the hardest in this case is measured with a Nordic abrasion tester, which is similar to the Los Angeles or Macro Duval type of testing, with a maximum value of 8. Our local aggregates are about 12, 13, so most of the time hard aggregates are imported from neighboring states, British Columbia or Washington. And in terms of binder, we use a 64-40 highly modified asphalt, which has about 7% SPS polymer, and it's a pretty stiff mix. We use the M332 spec with some special provision values there, very stiff mix. Our binder with JNR of 0.1 maximum and a percent recovery of minimum 95%. So it's flexible but stiff binder. So hopefully this has been applied for a couple of years, so we're looking at see how it behaves or performs in the studded tire regions. In terms of quality, acceptance assurance, typical hot mix, acceptance and assurance. We have, sampling and testing according to this. We have 5,000 ton lots, 10 sublots per lot, and the mix is obtained from the windrow or back of the paver, tested for binder content, aggregate gradation, and we do the percent compaction for mat density. All of that goes into our pay factor spreadsheet, which is a PWL type percent within limit specification. So QLA or quality level analysis is done, and a pay is determined. So we have a maximum or a bonus of 5%, and that's for the material and compaction side. In terms of longitudinal density, joint density, we have a bonus and penalty clause there. We get an average of the project and then assess a penalty or bonus. So a price adjustment for that. In terms of ride quality, we measured the ride before the project and after the project. We get a percent improvement in ride quality, and accordingly have a bonus and penalty for those overlays. Okay, so that's how on the hot mix side. In terms of microsurfacing, we were supposed to apply it this year for the first time, but we got delayed in terms of funding, so we'll be applying it next year. And again, we formulated this by working with our partners, a couple of producers, and the Central Region Lab. We came up with CQS1P, CSS1P, and again, the base asphalt is that highly polymer modified binder, the PG 64-40. The aggregates are hard aggregates following the ISSA's type 2 and 3 gradations, and the 3 types here, rut fill, scratch course, and surface course, will be in our spec. In terms of mix design, 10 to 11% residual asphalt by dry weight of aggregate, and up to 3% mineral filler in that mix. And in terms of course, quality assurance, sampling and testing according to this, to these provisions here, asphalt emulsion, aggregate gradation, and moisture in the aggregate periodically will be sampled and tested according to this. And one more thing here, in terms of measuring and paying for the product or the project, we have a combination of weight payment and surface area payment. So the first microsurfacing emulsion is paid by tickets, weight tickets, and the surface area is, of course, square yard paid for, it includes some subsidiary items like tack coating, etc. So, and of course, the fourth one is the last one is the mob and demob, and that's a lump sum payment. Now we have a special treatment or in our toolbox that falls under the pavement preservation, treatments, and we have the approval of our Federal Highway Division Office for this. So what we do is for rural areas, reclaiming the pavement with a reclaimer, so pulverizing that top layer with some of that granular base course layer, mixing it with water, compacting it, and then covering with hot mix. So that falls under our pavement preservation treatment, as opposed to a rehab treatment where that mixture is injected with emulsion or foamed asphalt or cement, placed and covered with hot mix. That falls under rehab. Okay, so that's a little bit different. In terms of training, we have our Alaska Paving Alliance, which meets quarterly. So it's an alliance between agency, local agencies, and industry. We organize every 2 years a summit where we bring experts in the field, talk about treatments, materials, techniques, etc. So that's something that we rely on in terms of training. Of course, AASHTO's free online training for the TC3, we take advantage of that, publicize it or advertise it, and agency and personnel can take advantage of it. It's free for state employees, of course. We take advantage of Asphalt Institute's, training classes, courses. Those are, on-site training and webinars. NAPA webinars, TRB webinars are advertised, and we encourage our, personnel, our staff to attend those. In terms of certification, I think I meant by NCPP or TS2P, right? That's the certification. We hope to take advantage of that. It's a good tool for train and certify our staff and contractors' staff. And last, road resource. This is a brand new resource. I think it has more than 500 pages of content. It's a decision-making tool. It talks about treatments. It has some life cycle costing. So we'll be encouraging our staff and industry staff to take advantage of that resource too. So this is very quickly, Dave, what we have. So I'd be happy to answer your questions. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
The preceding was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found on the web at pavementpreservation.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.